There.
Hello.
Hi. Okay, can you hear me because I have my phone like on something?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, good.
It's so nice to see you. Oh my God.
You too. Wait, I think I have a smudge.
Yo, I dropped. Pardon?
I'm editing this because it's a rough beginning.
Yo, I dropped my phone in 2 of the interviews and like it fell over and I had to be like, sorry. So I'm learning. I don't know how to do any of this stuff, so it's all good. How's your day been so far?
Okay, I'm like in a weird place where I'm just doing a lot of research for like future life plans. So it's a lot of just being on the internet and writing and figuring things out. How about you?
I'm actually doing similar things right now. And yesterday, like I got up at like, I don't know, 6 and I didn't stop till like 11 o'clock. And I was like, it's worth it. It's worth it, right? It gets kind of exhausting staring at a screen for that long.
Yeah, it's really draining, and not even just like on your eyes, but I think just your brain going for so long.
Mm-hmm.
It's reminiscent of being in school and just that brain fatigue of thinking a lot.
Right? When you'd like hit a wall and you're just watching someone talk at school and you're like, not
Oh yeah,
hearing.
in one ear, out the other.
Yeah, not at all. All right, so I guess we'll get started. What is your name or any like things that you go by online connected to your creative life?
Name is Kathleen. People call me all sorts of things. My Instagram is probably the main thing I use, and I just have it as Kat on there. And it's Hart 90s would be the handle. That's kind of, I'm not really a big fan of Facebook. That phased out for me. I never use Snapchat or Twitter. I'm like one lane girl. Just Instagram is the best for me.
Yeah, that's relatable. I'm on the same thing. Like Facebook is like I'll just go on there and it's mostly family to say hello to everyone and then I'm back again. But yeah, Twitter, I don't think I could handle it. I think I would just get pulled in.
No, like sometimes I'll share, like I'll retweet someone if I get notified about they tweeted, like maybe they tweeted and shared it on Instagram. I don't know, but it's just, I'm never on there. I don't engage with people on there. I would probably be lost at this point.
I feel you. I am the same on the Twitter world. Okay, so I know the answer to this question, but other people don't. Where are you from, or where are you currently creating from?
See, that's an oddly hard question to answer. And whenever
Right?
I try and answer it for people, I think they're probably thinking like, why doesn't she just say one thing? But to me, this is just how I feel about it. I don't really feel like I'm from anywhere. So the backup answer would be, okay, where did I grow up? I grew up in Newfoundland. I don't feel I'm really from Newfoundland, and no offense to, my Newfies, because so many of my best friends are from there. But my parents were not from Newfoundland. We moved there when I was pretty young. So yeah, I grew up there, but I always knew I wanted to move as well. So it has a special place in my heart, and it definitely has impacted and influenced me in ways, but anyways, yeah, that's my ramble on that. Currently I'm in Ontario, and I've kind of been in a few places in Ontario for at least a decade now. So, and I was born in Ontario, and my parents are from Ontario, and most of my family's in Ontario. So yeah, there you go.
Deadly. I feel you on that, especially being like from the island, but also have spent so long in Ontario now.
Mm-hmm.
There's just a pull to this place. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes that just reveals itself in time. But you're still in Toronto, right?
Yes. Yep. Still in the TO somehow. Do you have a favorite quote or a favorite lyric that you think of anytime?
Oh yeah. I totally did some preparation for this, and it completely slipped my mind to like refresh on what I did. There's like a really good, I'm gonna butcher this, but there's a really good Carl Jung quote. I don't know if you've ever seen, there's like a graphic with a tree, and it's kind of, the sentiment is like as above, so below. But it's just talking about, you know, anything that reaches up to the heavens also must reach down to, you know, below the earth. And so I just love the symbolism, because I really don't feel that you can have light without dark. And I don't see those dualities as, you know, good and bad either, but they've definitely sort of garnered those connotations over history. But yeah, I could go on about that, but definitely as above, so below. And the Carl Jung quote, if you know what I'm talking about or want to Google it, it'll come up.
Yeah, I will definitely give that a Google, because
Maybe I'll send you after this.
yeah, for sure. And then I can share it with people, because yeah, Carl Jung has some good ones. I'm like in the process of going through the Red Book right now, because I had like spoken to a family member about a bunch of things, and they were like, it sounds like you're experiencing what Carl Jung experienced. I'm like, what does that mean? So it's been very interesting, mind-opening
Yeah, I
reading.
need to read more of his stuff. I ordered a book of his, I think it's just like general symbolism. I haven't gotten around to reading it, but just, you know, I did my undergrad in psychology, and now I'm into more of like the spiritual stuff. And I feel like he was in both. And I think he's a really good resource to look into that. And then like dream analysis and stuff, like I really much enjoy that.
Yo, same actually. I don't know if I'm the only one who's going through this right now, but I've been having really vivid dreams for about 2 years, but the last like 3 months, they've just ramped up to the point that like I feel like I'm lucid dreaming a lot of the time. It's kind of weird.
Probably are. I can't, like, I feel like my dreams sort of come and go with the moon cycles, and I'm sure everyone's different, and you can look at it on sort of global energetic levels if you talk to some people and like get into like the frequencies and all that. But personally I'm more aligned, I think, with the moon. Although strangely, I guess last night I was constantly dreaming, and I was talking to Jess about this, Jess Watson, and she was saying she was dreaming more lately. So I'm sure you're not alone in that.
Cool. Yeah, that's also, it's so nice to hear Jess's name. But yeah, I felt that last night too. Like when I woke up this morning, I was like, I had full-on conversations with other people last night. Like but I'll have to do some more research into dream symbolism. Okay, so here's a good question for you. How long have you embraced your talents?
Okay. What talents are we talking about here?
So it could be like you do tarot reading, which I think is great. And like from what I've gathered, you have a lot of knowledge with like herbs and plants and like kind of, what's the word? Naturopath? Am I making up a word right now? I'm trying to
Herbalism?
think. Herbalism, there we go. Yeah, like, or whatever like that comes to you kind of naturally that you're good at is what I would call a talent.
Okay. Well, I'll just, going off that, tarot, probably, well, I started looking into it in, I want to say 2014. And it probably started more with Oracle, and then I sort of like graduated up to looking into tarot, because if you're familiar with tarot, it's its own category, and there's a lot more history and symbolism to it. You don't just read from a guidebook. But yeah, I would say 2014 was when I kind of got my foot in the door. And then slowly from there, I just kind of I was really focused on getting into all the metaphysical stuff. And card reading was one of those things that really sort of broke it open for me. And I think like gave me confidence that, okay, there's something to this. Like, you know, when you pick that card and it's exactly what you needed to hear, or it's exactly like, you know, that kick in the ass to make you do what you got to do. You get to a point where it's like, this is kind of mind-blowing. So, you know, everyone, I think, is drawn to maybe a different medium in terms of, okay, well, I'm getting off topic. I'm going right into the spiritual, but card reading, yeah, I dove into it maybe 5 years ago. And then I worked at a crystal shop and sort of was getting a lot more into it there because I was exposed to like tarot readers and even just like picking up books and decks and stuff like that. And just over the years, it's become kind of like self-therapy in a way. And I've just, I guess, gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm not just a student anymore. Like, I feel like I can sort of extend this out beyond myself. So that's sort of that one. And then, and like, feel free to interrupt my ramblings at any time if you want to expand or ask a question. Herbalism was more recent. It was, I had gone back to Newfoundland in 2015 and then moved back to Toronto late 2016. And I was living in the beaches actually. And there was this really cute little shop called Rowan. And it's not there anymore, but it was, it's kind of like a apothecary type shop. And the owner, she's very into herbalism. She has her own sort of skincare line now, and they had workshops, and I started doing the workshops, and one of the ladies doing the workshops teaching it is a clinical herbalist in Toronto. So me and her really sort of hit it off, and she was offering other more in-depth courses that were like months at a time, and I just started taking courses. So I did 2 courses with her, and so I'm not like certified. You'd have to go back for like, I think 2 years of school at an institution, but I definitely feel like she's a great teacher, and I picked up a lot. And nature is just like, nature is medicine, like beyond like the literal sense of like, okay, I can gather herbs and make a tincture or, you know, a poultice or tea or whatever. Just being in nature, I find always sort of soothes the soul. And if I'm in a really bad headspace, it can kind of reset me. So that was, yeah, a few years ago, 3 years ago, let's say.
Cool. I had no idea that you were like reading tarot that long. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's been on and off. I would say it's been more regular in the past few years.
That's sweet. And now you're offering tarot readings to other people, right?
Yeah, it's so weird. Just last month, I posted an Etsy shop, and, you know, it's slow going in the beginning, which I totally get because no one knows you, and you know, when you don't have a whole lot of traffic to draw from, or if you don't have a lot of sales, or you don't have reviews yet, I feel like those are the little building blocks you really have to get over that hurdle in the beginning. But I'm just sort of testing the waters and sort of trusting that in time, if it's the right thing, it'll pick up on its own. And not saying that I'm just going to throw it out there and leave it. Like, I'm going to do the work, but yes, brave new world.
Right? That's exciting.
Yeah. And I think especially is, I think I've been more secretive in the past about some of these things. Maybe not always on Instagram, but even when I do share things in the past, I think it was sort of, I don't know, there was a veil over it. And I feel like slowly I'm starting to get more comfortable with sharing about it and not feeling like people are going to write it off as you're a crazy bitch.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like I got in the maybe even just this year or the last year or so, I got more comfortable to talk to people about like, I don't know, my spiritual side that I always had, but I didn't understand. So, and yeah, just like, I'm like, do I really want to try to convince all these people I'm not crazy? But now I'm at the point where I'm like, whatever.
Yeah.
Someone's always going to think I'm crazy. If I can give you a tarot reading over the phone and freak you out and I don't even know you, then maybe I have a gift, you know? Yeah. That's actually something that I did. Oh, sorry. My foot still broke. That's what I get. when things like that happen, sometimes I call that spiritual intervention. So I'm going to say that's what that was. But I was going to say to you, I actually was posting on Instagram and offering people free readings. And I've done a couple free readings just from people, like from their IG and like whatever energy I get. It's like a vulnerable way to find customers, but it's cool too. Cause yeah, I don't know, getting a response back from someone and they're like, how did you know? I'm like, I don't know. I just knew.
Yeah. And that's part of it too. I mean, before I posted the Etsy shop, I mean, it has taken a long time to even feel comfortable thinking about doing that. And so obviously you start with doing readings for yourself, but it's a whole different game when you're reading for other people. And so I would just offer it to friends, like I have a mini tarot deck. It's like 2 inches tall.
What?
It's the Rider-Waite Smith. And I would just bring it in my purse and whip it out and be like, anyone want a reading, It's a cool way to break the ice, but it's also funny because you can see who's like a little weirded out and who's like all for it. You definitely get feel for where people stand, but I know people who they're scared of it. They're like, I don't want any part, like they think that it's gonna say like they're gonna die, or tell them something really bad. And I will never force anyone. If someone's not comfortable, I definitely want to respect that. But I don't like the idea of sort of preaching to people. I've had someone who used to be close to me kind of be like warning of that, like, because when you get into the spiritual stuff, it's, for me, I'm not into religion, but you get into that and it's only a short step away to the religion category, and some people just get touchy, like don't push your beliefs on me. So I definitely more so just want to be like, okay, I'm going to lead by example, or plant seeds and do my thing and let people come to me. And that's sort of the other way I think about people who come to you for readings. I think there's a timing to it. I think there's a right timing for everything. And so it might just be that, okay, now is not the right time. But once the right time hits, maybe they'll be like, oh, she's doing readings. Maybe I could go, get a reading from that person. And it works out on its own, I think.
Yeah, I like your view on all of those things, actually, because the thing about like not wanting to come off as preachy, I saw this cartoon recently and I was like, oh, that makes me feel better. And it was an ocean with a fish in a bowl in the ocean, and the bowl said religion. And I was like, oh my God, it's true, because when you have a dogma and then you're trying to put it on someone else and they don't agree with one thing, are you going to shun them now? Or like, are you going to trap them and say, we don't evolve, we don't expand? So I feel you on that. I've learned to definitely like do what you're saying, like plant seeds and lead by example, like bring the things into my life, but not tell my friends like, hey, I can see that this is what's your problem, because like maybe that's not their problem. Maybe I need to let them just spread their wings on their own.
Yeah. Well, 2 things is like, I just think everyone sees the world differently, and everyone has a right to see the world differently. You experience it, you have different experiences, you sort of decode it in your own way. And so I think there's validity to every religion. I don't think every religion is 100% right, but I think that's just our interpretation of something that we can't yet fully comprehend and maybe never will. There was something else I was going to say and it's totally gone now, so we'll just leave it.
She swept away. But yeah, that's a good way to like look at things, right? Like exactly, it's all our own interpretation, and yeah, we're all free to like experience it on our own, which is great.
Oh, I remember what I was gonna say. It's sort of like what you were saying about like, if you're picking up something on someone and you're thinking about whether you should tell them or not. I used to work at a crystal shop, and there was one employee who, and I don't want to like say this in like a mean way, but I think he was just so excited about being able to have those sort of intuitive hits, he would just try and read me like all the time. And it was like, I can appreciate that this excites you and that's wonderful, but you're kind of like intruding on someone's privacy in a way. And I think a lot of times also, like, he was trying to read me, right? But I think a lot of the times also when you get into this, sometimes you just get stuff and you have no control over it. You're not trying to, it just sort of hits you, but you do have control of whether or not you're gonna like say it to someone. So, if I'm doing something like mediumship and I'm out in the grocery store and I have a spirit come to me and it's like, I want you to deliver a message to that woman. It's like, I don't think so. Like, she hasn't consented to this.
I feel like we might have just had a telepathic moment, because I was thinking the same thing. Like someone that I learned a lot about spirituality last year because I told them about that. I was like, I feel like I'm haunted. She was like, yeah, you could be in a grocery store and spirit comes through to you and says, tell that lady this. And she's like, all you have to do is say like, no, pick someone else. Sorry, not me today. So it's so interesting that you use the same example, because like, I've had weird things happen all my life where I'll say something and then like it happens and I'm like, did that happen because I said it? Should I not have? Right? So yeah, we definitely have the control when it comes to our mouth to be like, okay, no, I'm not gonna say that.
And in that respect, like, if you're talking about something like spirit, I just try and think of them as people. It's like, if I had a random come up to me and say, can you deliver a message? I'm going to be like, no. A, I don't owe you anything. No offense. B, that's weird. Right?
Yeah, right?
So just like, I think there's a certain agency that you think you might have when it comes to the unseen, whether that be delivering messages through tarot or spirit or whatever. And I think boundaries are just so important. You just because you can tap into something and it doesn't necessarily abide by the physical laws of society that we can see and feel and all that, doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. And some people do, and I try and steer clear of those people.
Yeah, I feel that. Also, I totally just had like a moment. I got taken back to home when you said a random. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't heard someone say that in a minute.
There. Well, we still got the little things that stick with us from Newfoundland. I mean, I go back to Newfoundland, and if I'm around people from there, my accent comes back full force.
Oh, same. Like, I was on the phone with someone earlier from home, and we were just talking, and we get off the phone, and I'm like, why am I adding S's to everything I say right now? Like, it's a good accent. I love it. All right, here's a good question for you. Who are you currently inspired by? Could be like musically, spiritually, work related. Oh, I think
okay. Well, I have a general response to that, and then I can give a couple of examples. My general response would be that I'm inspired by anyone who is not afraid to like just completely be themselves, and like in public, and just they don't care what anyone thinks. They won't let judgment or societal expectations determine how they act, and just having that fearlessness, I think, because I think, well, it's inspiring, but also it just, you see, I think people don't understand the effect that they can have by just being themselves, because you see one person be themselves and it can have to be themselves, and I respect that and I love that so much, because as someone who has felt like I never fit in ever anywhere, I've always thought I could be kind of a chameleon, like I can feign fitting in, but I never felt like I actually, like, it didn't feel authentic. So as a person coming from that sort of background and perspective, to just, if you want to think of you know, the existence of normality.
Mm-hmm.
That's just such a and let's see, examples. Have you ever heard of the band 3T?
No, I haven't.
I don't know what kind of music you listen to, but they're industrial. They're from LA. I just came across them, I think, last year. They're in the studio writing a new album now, and this, like, I'm like plugging for them, so who cares? But
Go right ahead.
the lead singer, especially in the times that we're living in, he's just so well spoken, and he has, I think, 2 poli-sci degrees, and just the way he thinks about the world and politics, and I don't even know what the right sort of terminology would be to describe how he comes at things, but I would say like philosophical, and he can definitely sort of break down the building blocks to our society, and how politics plays a role with that, and democracy and socialism and all sorts of concepts like that. He's very well spoken and has very good insight. So I'm really inspired by people who, well, music is a huge thing for me. It's therapy, it's comfort and all that. It's self-expression and identity, but having that sort of intelligent, lyrical aspect to it, anything that he says, I'm like, holy shit, that's so cool, or that's a great insight, or that's intelligent, and that I think is awesome. But you should look up that band. They're pretty cool. If you're into like industrial, there's one song where I was like, wow, this is a mix of like 9 Inch Nails, Rob Zombie, and Marilyn Manson. It's just very, very interesting. And I will cap off that question with, if you go on Instagram, her name is Seven Sisters. It's spelled weird on Instagram. It's SVEN and then Sisters. But she runs this apothecary with a partner called House of Gnosis, and they sell all sorts of awesome, like, witchy stuff, incense and oils and candles and that sort of thing. I was introduced to her when I was in Salem last year, and she has such a presence, and she has a lot of insight, and I can tell you her products are very potent. Anything from that shop from her and her partner, but she's definitely really inspiring. I think also just in terms of being out and proud as being a witch is inspiring, you know, someone who historically that archetype has faced so much discrimination and literally like killing. So yeah, she would be my sort of third thing that inspires me.
That's awesome. That's really cool that you got to meet her too.
She well, I saw one of her products at a shop in Salem, and then she runs workshops. So I've gone to a couple of her workshops. So by no means do I know her on a personal level, but just taking part in workshops and stuff like that and following her on Instagram, she definitely adds a lot of quality to my feed.
That's great. I am definitely going to check her out because, yeah, I'm here for people that are open about their witchery, as I call it, because I don't know. I always felt accepting of it about myself when I was younger, and then I guess teenage years hit, and then it's like, oh, wait a second, maybe I shouldn't share this with everyone. I'm scared. But now I'm like, I'm out and about it, and you know, like I said earlier, there's always gonna be someone that thinks you're crazy, so just be yourself.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to be careful about who I sort of wave my flag in front of, but, you know, if it's my social media, then I'm going to post what I want, block people if I have to. Probably just if I'm, like, traveling certain places of the world where it's still not well met.
True that. Well, also, where can we what's your shop name on Etsy?
It's Chronic Crossroads.
Awesome. We will definitely add a link under this video. once it's
Thanks.
posted. Yeah, for sure. And if there's anything else that you would like for me to like share, if there's any like of the pages you mentioned or anything, just send them over and I will put them up with the post.
I will. Instagram is probably the best because I have a link tree, so that kind of just takes you wherever.
I need to build one of those because I have to. It's gotten to the point that I need it.
It's useful and it's so easy, so I would recommend.
Sweet. Well, I'll definitely be doing that. So that's all the questions I have for you. Thank you so much for like coming and being a part of this. It was really great to like catch up and see you. It's been a minute.
Yeah, it's been a while. Thank you for having me. I've never done anything like this, so it was a new experience for me.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna like keep this going and come up with like different questions. So I'll hit you up for round 2 if you're interested.
Sounds good.
Also for everyone out there in the world, I'm not sure if I mentioned this. If I did, pardon me. But yeah, Kathleen and I went to high school together. Yes. Back in Newfoundland on the island.
Back in the day, how things have changed in the world since that time.
A lot has changed since the days of the Pearl.
It's strange. I look back and like, you know, even looking at old pictures or like memories on Facebook and seeing posts of it, I'm like, who is that person? Because I feel like I am a completely different human being. Like this is like Kathleen 2.0.
Yeah, same. I definitely embrace that I have evolved.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Right?
If I can do anything in this life, let me grow and evolve and better myself.
Mm-hmm. I think the fact that you're like even aware that you want to do that means just that you're on that path already. So keep going.
Thanks.
All right. Well, you have a lovely day, and I will give you a shout and send you all of the links for this interview later.
Great. Sounds good. Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye.
Bye.